Hey, y'all. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Welcome in the building. Happy Monday. It is Trending Topics. We got stuff to talk about. I hope you had a good Monday, okay? It's Trending Topics. We got stuff to talk about. Listen, the title's real simple. It's called Tragic. Tragic. Listen, you know what? I'm in complete and utter shock. This judge wanted this trial over before the July 4th holiday weekend. And he's getting his wish because the prosecution is about to rest their case, and the defense said they need about 1 or 2 days. And I said, say what now? They need 1 or 2 days because in their mind, the prosecution didn't make their case without a reasonable doubt. And I'm just saying, y'all don't got, they're not bringing a witness. They're bringing nobody, 0 people to come speak on Diddy's behalf. And I said to myself, nobody? He had a lot of girlfriends. We can't get nobody? I don't know what they're going to present and what they're going to do, but I don't know if I ever heard of this. I got to look up some cases. You not bringing a witness to speak on this man's behalf? But I mean, I guess if you feel 10 toes down that the prosecution had a weak case, I guess you bring nobody. I don't know. I would have been digging up the people. I don't know. I would have found the people that said to refute some of these things that the other witnesses said, but nobody. Now, I told y'all Diddy didn't need to speak at all because he would be chilling with his legs crossed when the defense would be questioning him. But when that prosecution get to him, they would bury him. Because there's no way he would be able to explain away that video at the Intercontinental Hotel. There would be no way. Even though that ain't what he on trial for, but he still wouldn't be able to explain it away. So it's going to be interesting to see. They said Bill Cosby did the same thing the first time and got a hung jury. All right, Corey. Well, thank you for the info. I appreciate that. So maybe 100% is going to work for his benefit. I tell you what, though, if I was on trial, I don't want to, because a hung jury, that means you got to do this thing over again, right? The trial has to happen over again. Listen, it's exhausting. I tell you what, there is no way on the face of this earth do I want to go through another Diddy trial. Not another time of them getting Cassie on the stand, Capricorn Claude, Kid Cudi, Brianna, the workers, because these sex workers, they out here doing interviews. And shout out to Tasha K. You know, she get her interviews. And honey, one of them said that Cassie gave them chlamydia. But I told y'all in the beginning, I said it was a whole lot of ODs, a whole lot of STDs, and a whole lot of pregnancies. Because there's just no way the math don't math like this where you can have all that unprotected sex and somebody is not getting pregnant. But I'm going to move forward because we're doing a Diddy Trial Update today. And the title is called Tragic. Oh my gosh, one love. Yikes. Okay. Well, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you, Chris. TMZ said the defense will argue that the government could not get Diddy on taxes, etc. So they are doing our bedroom policing. Workers are not paid for X, but for the time and discretion as what was testified by them. Chris, I appreciate you, and I'm actually going to play that info for us tonight. I don't know how that's going to go over with the jury, though. I don't. But I need, I don't know. I need something a little stronger. Do I think they bedroom policing? Sure I do, because today they showed a bunch more of they showed us lingerie and high heels and some more freak off videos. And when you talking Rico, I don't want to see lingerie, high heels, and freak off videos. I want to see racketeering. So maybe this is gonna work in their favor. Well, Lakeisha, thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. So, we'll see. But then we're going to go into this grandmother beaten to death. I don't know what's going on with people today. They're unhinged. A lot of people dealing with mental health issues. And y'all know I don't like to just bucket things into, it's a mental health issue. But people are dealing with stuff, and it's very, very sad. It's sad. When you can get so angry that you taking a bat and beating somebody until they're no longer here, you got real problems. Real problems. It's very sad. Then we got this mama too. I think the boys were young. They were under 5. Or maybe 5 and under. Mom had 2 boys. I'm thinking it was a domestic violence situation. Went to McDonald's, took her life, and now they're motherless. Their mom is gone. When we meet people and our gut is telling us something is off with them, I don't care how much you like that person, run and don't ever look back. Just wait until they do a deep dive on the prosecution bedroom antics. Listen. A lot of people won't want their bedroom antics put in the streets. So I agree with you, One Love. A lot of people would not. And people clutching the pearls and like, oh my God, and they home doing the most. Now show me the pow-pows. Show me where he had stacks and stacks and stacks of ammunition. Show me the freak off video, and I said this before, where the people are running for the door and he got security there, or he's blocking the door himself. Show me mid-video where he goes over to given person and he's shoving the substances down their throat. Half of them went and picked up the substances and brought it there. And Cassie and Jane Doe said they took them to get through the freak-offs. You took them, or you was forced to take them to get through the freak-offs. This thing is it's a hot mess. It's a circus, but I told y'all that. A circus. Well, to God be the glory, the circus is about to come to the end. And we're going to see how this thing turns out. I think at best, and I don't even know really if they got this. They got the Mann Act. But if you call the diva up and you live in Florida and I live in Jersey, say, Diva, what's up? I know what I'm coming here for. And you'd be like, I'll buy you a ticket. Did you now sex traffic at me? Because I'm coming here for the sole purpose of doing the do. And when we done, instead of maybe you giving me cash, maybe you gave me a Louis bag. Maybe you gave me a Gucci bag. I don't know. Maybe you gave me some red bottom shoes and you gave me some cash to go home. So now, later on, can I claim when I feel ashamed about my behavior? I'm laying in the bed, I'm mad at you, and I'm feeling a little shame and a little guilt. Now I'm going to say, you sex trafficking me? and you in trouble because you bought the ticket? This is messy. Now, if they would have did their due diligence, but see, they busy covering up for others, not Diddy, right? If they would have did their due diligence, hit him with the stuff he really did. You go into somebody's house who's doing the most, and the best you got is 1,000 bottles of baby oil and some lube. Yeah, it's a waste of the taxpayers' dollars. You ain't never lied. It's a whole waste. But we're going to talk about it. Listen, people, the title is called Tragic. The train pulling out a little late, but you know what? It's still pulling out. Y'all know what I need in the chat. I need a what? I need a choo-choo. All aboard, everybody. It is Monday night trending topics, and we got stuff to talk about. The title is called Tragic, okay? This whole Diddy trial was just tragic. They really didn't want to just come after this man. They did. Because they thought when they raided his house, they thought it was going to be a slam dunk. And when they went in there and they found out that all they had was baby oil, Astroglide, and a couple of pounds, they were sick to their stomach. So they took months to make up some charges to bring him in on. Months. And I'm telling you, in the history of them raiding people's homes, soon after they raid your home, they take you down. But if you go back to old videos of mine, when they first raided the homes, I'm one of the only people that told y'all they had nothing. Everybody was telling y'all in 5 days he's about to get arrested. Oh, they about to come from now. Oh, I heard they about to pick him up. And I told y'all they were not, because they had nothing. And they proved it when they did a whole press conference and they wanted to tell us about 1,000 bottles of baby oil in RICO charges. You supposed to be telling us 1,000 pounds was found in there. You supposed to tell us when you watched those videos, you saw the minors that you claimed you had. You were supposed to tell us that on the videos, it's going to prove that he was forcing the substances down the people's throats. But y'all got none of that. Y'all kept showing us over and over and over the video of the Intercontinental Hotel. And I'm not saying that wasn't horrific, but it's not RICO. Let me bring the people on in. Now, what's this? I don't know how to pronounce your name, Ragnar. Diddy is a good man. That's a little bit too far now. Hey, Wayne. Hey, Julius. Hey, Lady Love. Hey, Savannah.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, Diva. Hey, everyone.
Hey, Channel. Hey, Pat. Hey, Diva. Choo.
You, Sheila, and this right here is Diva Thoughts. This is straight up Diva Thoughts. All of these people in the Diddy orbit was all sleeping together. I promise you, in my head, I wouldn't be surprised if Mr. Fine was at and participated in a freak off. That's just the thoughts in my head. I ain't saying it is so for a fact. I'm just saying. Now, well, but see, you said Diddy wanted to have a good time with men. I don't see the issue. The problem is, I don't know how to say your name. I don't want to jack it up. The problem is, it was an issue for Diddy, not us. And that's probably why he's in this trouble now, because he wanted to hide it. Allegedly, same thing like Tyler Perry. Secrets make you sick or keep you sick. Listen, let me go ahead and share screen. Let's go right into the Diddy updates, because soon we can be done with this Diddy thing. And hallelujah. Diddy trial defense prepares closing argument. Iran war. What? Let me also say this to y'all. I'm feeling for Jane Doe. I'm feeling for Cassie. I'm feeling for a lot of people, because no matter how this verdict goes, when the verdict happens, the floodgates are going to open, and all of these S workers are going to be dragging these people in this filth, in the streets for filth. All of them are going to want their 15 minutes of fame, and they're going to tell all the business. And my heart breaks for Jane Doe, because I think that at that point, they're going to release who she is, the name, and they're going to be dragging her. I feel for her. Hopefully she's in Bali somewhere, maybe namasteing with Russell Simmons. Let's play this.
This may sound crazy to you, but the Iran war may come up in the closing arguments in the Diddy trial. I will explain that in a minute. But let me just tell you today, in terms of winners and losers, if you believe the defense, they're the winner today. We found out that they are not going to call any witnesses, not a single witness. Diddy is not testifying, but let me just tell you, he never was going to testify in this case. He would have been eviscerated on cross. So he's not testifying, but they're not going to call any witnesses. And we have good sourcing on the defense side. And the reason is they don't think the prosecution has proved its case in any respect. They think there is reasonable doubt, at the very least, in terms of racketeering, because this is not organized crime the way they see it. It's disorganized crime. We've talked about this, that Diddy has been a criminal. He's violated a lot of laws. It's just not an organized crime venture under his company umbrella. So they think there's reasonable doubt there. As to proving that they forced Cassie and Jane to engage in sex with a sex worker, they don't think that the prosecution proved its case in terms of consent. They are relying on various text messages, statements made by Cassie and Jane, making it seem like they were down with these freak-offs. And the other thing that they are banking on is that the jury is not going to buy allegations that Diddy violated the Mann Act. The Mann Act is simply bringing a sex worker across state lines for commercial purposes, for the purpose of prostitution. Now, here's their argument. I'm not saying I'm buying this, but their argument is the sex workers themselves testified. They were not paid for sex. They were paid for their time and the discretion of keeping it private. That is a tough one for the defense, but it's what they're going to argue. But I think the overarching thing they're going to argue is that this is a prosecution of bedroom police, that the prosecutors and the authorities went into Diddy's bedroom because, as Mark Agnifilo told us during one of our Diddy docs on Tubi, they couldn't get him on business. They couldn't get him on taxes. So they went into his bedroom. Now, you say, well, because there were crimes committed. But they're going to argue, we're told, you know, if there were crimes committed, why did the U.S. attorney hold a news conference where he spent all that time talking about baby oil? Baby oil is not illegal. What is the deal with baby oil and bringing that up in a news conference where you're splashing this, you know, all over the media, other than to sully Diddy and get into his bedroom? That's the argument, that, you know, renting hotel rooms, not illegal. Getting drugs, it's illegal, but is it really racketeering? Baby oil, come on, it's not illegal. And on and on and on. That this is a case, they say, about kinky sex. And kinky sex is not illegal if it is done with the consent of all parties. And they're banking on consent by Cassie. So that is what they're going to argue when they go before the jury. They are going to argue that this was all consensual, all bedroom police, and all prosecutors stepping over that line of propriety. Now, what about Iran? How on earth would they bring Iran up in this case? So what we are told is that the defense is now noodling on this argument, that they would say, look at this last witness who's testifying, the guy from Homeland Security, talking about how 70 agents from Homeland Security descended onto Diddy's Miami property, his LA property, and seized videotapes of freak-offs and 1,000 bottles of baby oil and on and on. And what the defense is going to argue is that we are now at a point where we're on the precipice of war with Iran. And one of the elements of that is sleeper cells in the United States. And there is a real worry that there may be people who are in this country who will commit terrorist acts and maybe kill lots of innocent Americans. That is the job, they say, of Homeland Security. Yet Homeland Security spent an enormous amount of money, spent time, used resources to go after Diddy over freak-offs and baby oil and whatnot. Again, not my argument. I'm just telling you, this is what they're saying that they are going to try and sell to the jury. I usually don't ask this, but in this one, I'm going to. I would love for you to sound off on the comment section that if you were a juror, what would you say to that argument? What would you say to the argument of this is bedroom police? What would you say to the argument that Homeland Security should not be looking at Diddy? They should be looking for terrorists. What would you say to the general argument of bedroom police and baby oil and all those things? I am fascinated by this, and I would love to know how this would fly before a jury. I don't know. And what would you say about racketeering? Do you think that what they brought up, blowing up Kid Cudi's car allegedly, burglarizing Cudi's house, doing all the various things that Diddy did, is this a jealous, crazy criminal boyfriend, or is it a racketeer? What do you think? And do you think that the prosecution has proved that these freak-offs went down without the consent of Cassie and Jane beyond a reasonable doubt? What do you think about that? And then finally, what do you think about this argument that the sex workers were paid not for sex, but for time and discretion? I'm asking a lot, but there's a lot to absorb here. And I would love to see in the comments, and we'll talk about those comments tomorrow. But right now, closing arguments are set for Thursday. The jury could get the case on Friday. I don't think they're going to come to a resolution on Friday. I just think there's going to be a division on this jury, but juries do tend to come in on the day before a weekend just because they don't want to come back. So we will see. But again, I would love for you to jump in the comments and give your opinion.
Hold on, let me make this smaller. Let me pause that. He should have never been indicted in the first place. I agree. If Diddy is guilty, they might as well arrest the whole country. You know how many women and men love to be flown out and also look to the at the adult entertainment industry. Well, truth teller, you speaking the truth right there. Let me just go ahead and continue. Wait, hold on. Okay, my story is just squeezing here. Let's see if I could do this. All right. So it is cumulative day of witness testimony and Diddy criminal trial in New York. And his defense is kicking the tires on some interesting strategies involving invoking the Iran war. I personally think that's the wrong move. But listen, he paying them, not me. Prosecutors and Diddy defense team spent Monday questioning a special agent with Homeland Security. Started the whole case. Okay. They had text messages where he said, KK, he need more baby oil. Listen, this man was obsessed with the baby oil. Nothing really new in terms of testimony, but the most interesting stuff happened when there was no witness on the stand. The defense told the judge his plans to rest his case Tuesday, which is that's insane to me. After prosecutors rest their case without calling Diddy or any defense witnesses to testify. Frankly, Diddy was never going to testify no matter what his defense attorney, Mark, told us. That would have been a huge and possibly unnecessary risk, which I agree. But back in September, but Mark was for the stuff too. He was for the nonsense too. Mark said that, Diddy, he don't think he could keep Diddy off the stand. But now we're seeing that they at least smarten up because Diddy got more people on the team, and he's not getting on the stand. Sources tell us the defense thinks prosecutors didn't make a strong enough case here, and they are going to get this thing to closing arguments ASAP. And that's where Iran could enter the picture. I mean, like I said, me personally, I hope they don't do that. Let's just take
from someone in the mafia.
I don't know that I could keep him off the stand. He is very eager to tell his story.
They're going to show that video over and over and over about what happens to women that won't change their stories.
His reputation is over.
The United States government, they start making this case as a takedown of a successful black man.
TMZ presents The Downfall of Diddy, The Indictment, now streaming on Tubi.
I have interviewed a lot of people for this documentary, and a lot of them have said game over after they saw the Cassie video. Does this compel you to put him on the stand and explain it?
I don't know that I could keep him off the stand. I think he is very eager to tell his story, and I think he will tell every part of his story, including what you see on the video. So I expect it's going to be explained by the both of us.
It's kind of breathtaking that what you're telling me is that Diddy is going to take the stand and he will be cross-examined about this video, about the violence in the video, about the freak-offs, about allegedly blowing up a car, all of those things. That feels kind of dicey.
He has his story, and he has a story that I think only he can tell in the way he can tell it in real time. And it's a human story. It's a story of love. It's a story of hurt. It's a story of heartbreak. I mean, when he describes that relationship, the word he uses more than any other word is heartbreak. He was heartbroken. She was heartbroken.
Sources tell us the defense thinks prosecutors didn't make a strong enough case here, and they're going to get this thing to closing arguments ASAP, and that's where Iran could come in the picture. I think I read that to y'all. We're told the defense is considering invoking the Iran conflict, with the argument being Homeland Security should be protecting Americans from potential terrorists in sleeper cells instead of poking around in Diddy's bedroom for kinky sex toys, lube, stripper heels, whips, lube, and baby oil. This thing is coming to a head soon, and we can have a verdict as early as Friday, though the jury could wait for next week to decide if Diddy is guilty or not. Wayne, your thoughts?
Okay. Now, y'all gonna think I'm crazy and out of touch with reality, but this just came to me. This wasn't about Diddy. I believe that this was about all those people, celebrities or whoever, were on those tapes. I'm not saying they were doing anything nefarious, but when they start talking about Diddy and everything and the freak-offs and everything, nobody want their name attached to that. They only want to be seen that, oh, you was at a party or whatever. Okay? And then maybe there were some engaging in some things that they wouldn't want anybody to know. Because they had this big raid. Okay, so does anybody believe that this big raid they did on 3 of his properties turns into this in court. I mean, this is a raid like you were doing the mafia or something. And out of all of that, this is what we got in court. We got so much of it that they got it in early. I think Diddy gonna walk because I think he was the scapegoat. I'm telling y'all, when people got money, money talk and BS walk. You see how crooked everything is. Look, I'm so and so. Look, if you see anything with me in it, if you can get rid of $50,000 guaranteed. Okay, look. Oh, hey, if you see anything with me, I'm gonna give you $1 million. Okay, because remember at first all these people supposed to be in the parties, and it narrowed down to a freak off with a few people. So I don't think it was about Diddy. I think he had to go through all this, but I think he's gonna walk because the people who maybe were in those videos, and like I said, this is just my opinion. I just had this epiphany. That were in those videos, they're safe now. Their story is safe. Nobody will know who they are, supposedly. And Diddy will walk. Now, he did these awful things, so he going to have to live with that, even as he walks out. But he got an island down there, a Star Island, whatever. I think he's going to be all right if he get to walk. Because there's going to be somebody else. Tyler is rolling up on his heels. So as soon as Diddy get out the way, we're going to be looking at another one. So that's what I think. I think he's going to walk. And like I said, I'm not trying to take up a Diddy. I'm just saying what y'all were trying to prove is reasonable doubt. I mean, the stuff they do is just like, I mean, when people, hey, baby, I'm going to fly you out for the weekend. I'm going to take you shopping. Boom, 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 boom. Here's some extra cash. Okay, it happens all the time. So if I was on the jury, it'd be reasonable that I said, I'm not gonna buy that all of a sudden now you're trafficking her. It's a trafficking. No. So I think, and like all they need is one on the jury to say, I'm not guilty. And it's a mistrial. And he walks. That's my thoughts.
Thank you, Wayne. I appreciate you. Measure Man, thank you so much. Look at the episode, Pause, Boondocks from 2010. It said you must be light-skinned, good-looking, and not allergic to baby oil. That was 2010. TP got them booted. Scapegoat. Tyler Perry got them booted. Scapegoat. I guess that's Tyler Perry. Thank you so much for your super chat. Much appreciated. Julius, your thoughts?
Okay. This case, I'm tired. I'm saying it how the Southern elders say the word tired. I'm tired. Okay, I'm going to tell y'all why. The government has not presented their case. They want to talk about all these people doing the bump and grind. And I'm like, where's the RICO? Where's the racketeering? Where's all that? Didn't hear none of it. But they worried about the swingers fund. They worried about the folks doing the bump and grind, holding on to the shower rods and holding on against the wall. That's what they worried about. In the baby or in my Medea voice, the Johnson & Johnson. They worried about the Johnson & Johnson. Now, look here. If you have a sugar daddy, sugar mama, go ahead, baby, have your fun. If you not breaking any laws, have your fun. If you ain't hurting nobody, have your fun. Guess what? Leave me out the group chat and leave the general public at the group chat, okay? All right.
Thank you. Savannah, your thoughts?
Well, the public's been in the group chat for the last um 2 years, so I'm looking forward to Friday. I bought my bottle to celebrate that this trial is finally over. I think so. I have my Stella Black already on chill, waiting for Friday. I think what this the defense proved was a bunch of adults, or I'm sorry, the government. What they proved was a bunch of adults with consent, whether it be for the relations or the consent of taking substances or even transporting substances. Heck, they were having these parties on the without Diddy in the room. They were setting up their own parties. This is what they all like to do. Um, I think we all need to clean our minds and zen for at least 4 to 6 weeks after this trial is done. Because it is correct. Tyler Perry is going to be up next. I think Diddy will be found guilty, however, but I think he's gonna um, get off with time served. Uh, I think he'll be able because with even with all of this going on, we Diddy is guilty of being um, of domestic violence and of abusing Cassie, and regardless of what the reasoning may be, whether she was seeing someone playing them both. That was more than a smack. That was literally beating another human being that happened to be female. So he is guilty of that. I'm glad that he did not testify. I think that would have been the wrong thing for him to do. Um, but one thing about Diddy is that he is and can be arrogant. So I was afraid that he would go up there and be like, "Hey, I'm Sean Combs. I'm charismatic. They're gonna believe me or want to hear my what I have to say." But so I'm glad that his defense team convinced him not to testify. I don't think they needed to really call any witnesses, although I am disappointed. They should have called some forensic scientists, some of the workers that said, "Hey, these women were free to come and go as they pleased."
Yes.
All of that. They needed to present something to show that he didn't have this prostitution, bunny ranch type of thing going on where the women were not author, they couldn't move about freely. They traveled, they went and met up with other celebrities, they had other relations on the side, or relationships on the side. So I did want to see some of his employees come up and say that there was no type of coercion or anyone being held against their will. He didn't lure them in or trap these women or men. Um, and I really hope that he learns a lesson from this. I really think there's going to be the biggest freak off pink powder party that Miami can hold on Star Island. I think he's going to have one heck of a, if he's out on 4th of July, it's going to be one heck of a fireworks weekend for him. Because I don't think that any of these, I don't feel sorry for any of them, Diva. I think Jane Doe is going to exploit this as much as she can, because she has proven that it's all about the bag for her, regardless if she has to use her body. That's her thing. That's where So I expect to see her on every um, adult channel, magazine, website. I expect her to be doing interviews, podcasts. She's going to be out there. They're going to milk this and get their 15 minutes off of this as much as they can and be back to these hotel nights or whatever they call them. But I think he'll be found guilty, but it will be time served and he will be out walking the streets soon.
Thank you. Ms. Kane J, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the super chat. Diva, as much as Diddy paid for his defense, I would have made them produce me at least 2 witnesses to secure the case, at least a therapist on S addiction. I'm trying to tell you, somebody, I don't understand how they're arresting. So the prosecution had this a therapist come up and talked about trauma victims. I would have had my therapist come up and say something. I don't know. I just feel like I just feel like they need to say something. I feel like they need to put up a fight for this man. But to have nobody on in Tuesday is tomorrow, and Tuesday right after, soon after, you're going to give the case to the jury. I don't know. I feel like they should give us something. But that's me. Okay.
I agree, Diva, because they held his children, they brought them out in handcuffs, they had an army style type of raid. You're gonna give me something and explain to me all of this. What we got is boxes of baby oil. Another thing he's guilty of is causing a shortage of baby oil in South Florida. So I mean, that's they should have did something. His children have been traumatized, and I'm not a fan of any of them, but that's a lot. That has been a lot. And all they talked about was his bedroom. That's it, his bedroom.
And they kept showing, and they showed a compilation of the freak on videos. But like I said, not a near one did you show somebody trying to get out the room and they was stopped, or he was shoving the substances down their throat. You showed people having relations. You didn't even show nobody having relations with somebody that was passed out.
Don't forget the minors.
And the minors. Where's the minors? Katrina, your thoughts?
My thoughts are the reason why they're not going to call anybody, because what Diddy was indicted on was racketeering, and that wasn't proven. So they feel like, why do I have to defend something that I didn't do?
That's not the only charge.
I'm saying, but that's the main charge, other than the sex trafficking and all that. But that's the main charge. So they looking like, well,
every single charge can have him up in that prison for years.
well, girl, I mean, but who's gonna come defend him? Because the ones that probably come and defend him, they probably on the tapes, and if the prosecutor come after them, they gonna be in spilt something that they shouldn't be able. I mean, they shouldn't talk about. Because most likely, Diddy friends was probably Diddy bopping with him. So if the people come on that stand, and if the prosecutors question them, they gonna mess Diddy up as well.
Yeah, they may mess themselves up.
Exactly. That's why they're not doing it.
Mess themselves up, because yes, they all were Diddy bopping. They all were Diddy bopping.
So they're not gonna come out there and pull themselves out there like that. Now think about it. Nobody came down to that courthouse other than Kanye, and he was Diddy bopping as well. So their people is not gonna come down there because they gonna be sitting with Diddy sitting there. So them people ain't finna do that. They'll tell on themselves, because all these celebrities, all of them was going out there to have a Diddy party, or either they was on the Epstein Isle. All of them was together, all of them. So if they come out and say something, the prosecutor come up there and ask them questions, then put their own self in jeopardy. So they're not going to come there and defend him. I mean, the only person I think, well, Mama Cone, but no, I don't. But anyway, that's the reason why I think they're not calling anybody in, because all his friends and stuff were doing some of the same things that he was doing, and they don't want their names put into nothing. Because you don't see none of them coming down there, none of them. I mean, not even peeping through the door. So that's not gonna work. So they doing the right thing to close it out, even though like you said, maybe they should have did the forensic science stuff, people or psychiatrists, stuff like that. But as in friend wise, I wouldn't put his friends on the stand, because they really gonna mess him up. But that's just my opinion. That's all I got.
Well, you know why so many were given immunity? Because they were all going to come up there and plead the fifth if they wasn't given immunity. So then the defense, then the prosecution wouldn't have had nothing. So the prosecution is going to have to answer to in their closing arguments why the two witnesses that they spoke about in opening arguments never showed up. And to me, some of those charges need to be dropped because some of the charges were added later based upon two witnesses that never showed up in the building. But I think they think we slow and we forgot, but we didn't forget. At least I didn't. I'm stuck on this. So they came with superseding indictments, and those superseding indictments was based on Gina, who never showed up in the building, and on a victim or witness number 5, who also never showed up. So this is craziness was going on, and I could understand how the defense may be thinking we got this like in the bag, but at the same time, I still would bring some people up there to say something. They led us to believe the Pow were in the house, but they were in the security guard shack. All had licenses. Come on, Measured Man. So they can't tie the Pow to him, reasonable doubt, all charges. I'm in agreement with you. See, and that stuff they kept on the low. Because when they came out, they was like, oh, here's the pictures. They showed us a beat down AR-15 with a scratched off whatever in a couple of ammunition. When you are talking about somebody running a RICO to the level where you got to send Homeland Security, armored trucks, and you pointing the thing at my kid's head with a laser so you could come get baby oil? No, somebody got to answer to this. Baby oil and Astroglide. And in the meantime, I'm going to say this as respectfully as I can. You want a real RICO or something crazy going on? Kanye West's wife, Bianca Censorian, I don't know how she's getting away with it. She walks around the streets nude practically. Nude. She had on a thong. How are you walking around in the streets with a thong on? And everybody's clutching their pearls over what Diddy did in his bedroom. But then you got Bianca Censorian walking around with absolutely nothing on. I'm telling you right now, Bianca was a black girl, they would be losing their mind right now. They would be calling her all kinds of names. And she would have got hit with all kinds of indecent proposal, indecent exposure charges and all of that.
Preach.
All of that. It just don't make no sense to me. And I'm just wondering, if she wakes up one day and decides that she was trafficking, what are they going to do? She went up on the red carpet, dropped her coat, and literally had nothing on. But we spending over $500 million on some lingerie, high heels, Astroglide, and baby oil. And then they most recently put out that he had the baby oil in like a temperature control room or something like that. Like, okay, so what? Did he have a body in there that he unalived? Just ridiculous. Remember her family alluded to her being trafficked last year? Then it went away. Measure Man, I do. But it's interesting. They got something in their face and everybody's ignoring it. I'm not saying us per se. I'm just saying everybody's ignoring it. In our face, this girl is just walking around with nothing on. And respectfully, girls come 10, 15 years later. I was trafficked by Diddy. You got a live case in your face right now, and we're doing nothing. This is nonsense. Let me go ahead and move on to the next story. This is sad. This grandmother was beaten to death with an aluminum bat. They get the chick, but it's very sad, and she died. Let me see where I have this at. Okay, I think this is it.
Court Watch focuses on the case of a grandmother who died after being beaten in broad daylight.
And the weapon used, an aluminum baseball bat. NBC4's Carrie Charles joins us now with more about this case. Carrie?
Well, Jen, these are the people who love Yolanda Vaughn. Children, grandchildren, other family members, and friends. She's gone. It's not clear how she and her accused killer knew each other. What we do know is that these folks are reeling from an attack that happened a little more than a month ago. Tonight, Columbus Police, the U.S. Marshals Service, and the victim's family are asking for your help in finding the person responsible for this violent assault. Yolanda Vaughn was 54. She gave birth to 3 children and adopted 2 others.
I would say one of her biggest qualities is that she cared for people. She was a living individual.
Robert Vaughn Jr. falls right in the middle.
She's an amazing person, my friend, big time friend. I would say one of my best friends.
Vaughn died following injuries sustained during a brutal attack.
A child of God, a believer in Jesus Christ, to be my teacher, a woman, who loved music.
And this week's Warrant Watch, the search for the suspect in Vaughn's death, 31-year-old Erica Carr. These are previous mugshots. And both, you'll notice, she has the word nephew tattooed across her neck.
This is violence at its worst. She strikes her numerous times. The lady falls down on the ground and she stands over top of her and continues to strike her with this aluminum bat. And then the lady gets up staggering and she pushed her again and she fell down and hit her head on the cement.
And 90 minutes later, Vaughn was gone. Court filings show the attack happened on the 2300 block of Hiawatha Park Drive, May 5th of this year, around 12:30 in the afternoon. Carr is now facing a murder charge.
What was the purpose of doing something like that? Like, nobody deserves that.
Vaughn and Robert Sr. were married for about 23 years and remained good friends after their divorce.
I mean, I could see if somebody was trying to, you break in your home, you defend yourself. But to my knowledge, that wasn't the case. So why would you do that? And I do hope that justice is served. You deserve whatever is coming to you.
Those who love Vaughn are left with memories, like when she had her face painted during Hallelujah night at church. Vaughn's son wants Carr to know.
You took somebody who mattered a lot to people, and you may not care. And, I prayed for you, and I've also prayed for my family. It's hard to say that I forgive you, but it'd be hard to not with my beliefs. But I do want you to serve justice, and however God sees fit is what I want to happen.
Marshall Black did not have details about what led to the attack and says, frankly, it doesn't matter, especially since this doesn't appear to be a case of self-defense. Here is another look at 31-year-old Erica Carr. Her last known address was on the 2300 block of Clinton Street. Remember, she has the word nephew tattooed on her neck. If you've seen her, scan the QR code on your screen. You will be taken to a page with contact information for the U.S. Marshals Service. Remember, all tips can be made anonymously.
What a shame. Okay, so hold on one second. Let me just see if I could give a little more information. So grandmother beaten to death in Columbus, Ohio. The Columbus community is mourning following the tragic death of the 54-year-old Yolanda Vaughn, a grandmother who was brutally beaten in a shocking daylight attack. As authorities intensify their search for the suspect, 31-year-old Erica Carr, the victim's family is urging the public to come forward with any information that might lead to an arrest. Yolanda was known for her warm and caring nature, having raised 3 biological and 2 adopted others. Her son, Robert Van Jr., described her as a loving individual who was always there for her family and friends. The senseless violence that took her life has left those who knew her grappling with grief and anger. The attack occurred in the early May on Hiawatha Park Drive, a typical pizza street. Witnesses reported seeing the suspect repeatedly strike Yolanda with an aluminum bat, causing her to fall and suffer fatal injuries. Despite the efforts of emergency responders, she died shortly after the assault. Carr, the suspect, is now facing a murder charge. Authorities have released her mugshots, noting a distinctive tattoo on her neck as they continue their efforts to locate her. The motive for the attack remains unknown, adding to the anguish felt by Yolanda's family and the community. Robert Vance Sr., Yolanda's former husband, spoke of the profound impact her loss has had on the family. It's hard to understand why someone would do something like this, he said, expressing hope that justice will be served. The Van family is holding on to precious memories of Yolanda, recalling her joy during church events and the love she spread to those around her. They hope that Carr will eventually recognize the pain her alleged actions have caused and that she will be held accountable. As the investigation continues, authorities are urging anyone with information on Carr's whereabouts to contact them. The community, meanwhile, is rallying around the Van family, offering support and assistance during this difficult time. Oh, so sad. Wayne, your thoughts?
Yeah, let's hope they capture her and she gets, hope justice is served. I mean, this is just hard on the family. She's only 54 years old.
I know.
And in broad daylight, I'm like,
whew.
I mean, nobody came to, I like, a little bit more, it's like, they said they saw her getting beat. I don't understand. Nobody came to the rescue. It could have been, a different story, circumstance why they couldn't. But it's just sad that in broad daylight.
Right.
That's it.
Thank you. Julius, your thoughts?
My condolences go out to this family. I hope that person is apprehended and brought to justice. From a faith point of view, and I can relate to her son's pain. It is a struggle when you are a person of faith on the battle of forgiveness.
Mm.
You may not, like, you can let go of your anger because that's gonna hold you back.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to forgive the person. And that is something I had to learn. So I let go of the anger now. Have I forgiven the people? No. Honestly, the way I look at it, that's between them and God.
Mm.
They have to answer to God at the end of the day. And I cannot constantly have that loop repeating, like, if I was there, what this wouldn't have happened. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell now, I am fortunate to still have both of my parents. But I know this from losing my cousin. When people love hard, sometimes they are the easiest ones to unalive. No matter what their path is in life. And that's the unfortunate thing.
Mm-hmm. Savannah, your thoughts?
Diva, I think the first thing that grabbed me is that this woman was our age, in her young 50s. So I didn't view her as, a grandmother who was helpless, a senior, someone in their 80s who's really defenseless and helpless. I struggle to find when did we stop seeing each other as humans? I just don't understand how you can carry this much aggression and pain and violence, and there was just absolutely no empathy to continuously beat someone with a bat in broad daylight, have no regard of being seen or identified, or it's just it's absolutely heartening and disheartening, and this family is now without someone dear who obviously raised some amazing, especially for that young man to have. What I heard him saying was, compassion for a monster. And I don't think I could be so forgiving right away, because this is not even a little over a month old, this incident. And to have lose the matriarch of your family, that is something that you don't recover from easily, and you have to be strong in your faith and love of God to be able to find some type of empathy and compassion for the monster that took your loved one away. I hope that this person, because she's going to be easy to recognize with that type of tattoo on her, that she turns herself in before street justice finds her, because she seems to be living a reckless life. And I do know that there's probably other parts of the story that we're missing, but it's still no excuse of why there was an absence of compassion and empathy, and there's nothing that this woman could have done that she had to lose her life for. So I commend the young man and the family for being so brave, but we live amongst too many monsters right now, regardless of their color, their age, their socioeconomic status. It's just, there are way too many monsters in our streets, and it's not safe.
Yeah. I agree with you. Thank you, Savannah. Katrina, your thoughts?
Rest in peace to the lady. I hope she went out there trying to be about it. Cause for you to for a fight to be happening in broad daylight and you brought a bat, something had to something had to happen. Were they fussing with each other or something? Were they fussing? I mean, something triggered this woman to hit this lady with a bat. These older women, because I think I'm bad. But anyway, I'm just saying, I'm not giving this girl a pass or anything like that. But what made you do this? Even though you shouldn't have done this, but just to be out there beating somebody with a bat, like, I'm not saying that grandmama did anything to cause all this or whatsoever, but it just something is weird. It's something weird with this because, like, who's out here fighting in broad daylight and you fighting with a bat? Like, did y'all get into an argument? Did something? I mean, it's a lot missing. And I'm not giving the girl no pass or anything like that. Don't get me wrong. Don't come for me in the chat. But what I'm just saying is what happened. She still had no reason to do this. But what made this woman just go up there and hit this lady with the bat? Like, did they have an argument? Was it a disagreement? Did they stay in the same house, neighborhood? Did they stay in the apartments and stuff like that? Something had to happen. Was they fighting about the children? Because she adopted kids. Maybe the lady was fighting because her
She's
kids did
probably high
something or
on
their kids
drugs.
did something. Huh?
She's
Say it
probably
again,
high on
Mike.
drugs. Probably high on drugs. Who walks around with aluminum bats at
But I'm just
noon?
saying, I'm not saying that she wasn't high on drugs or anything like that, but I'm just saying, was there a fight? Was they arguing with each other for a person to just come up there just hit you with a bat in broad daylight? I'm not saying that she wasn't high or anything like that. I'm not saying that. What I'm asking is, like, what made her just walk up, just fought this lady with a bat? Is what I'm saying. It's not making no sense to me. Yeah, people are
Drugs.
crazy. People, I mean, drugs and stuff too. But I'm just saying, Wayne, this just it. It's more to the story. D, you stay on top of this story because it's more to the story. I mean, I'm not saying the lady wasn't high on drugs or anything like that. I'm not gonna say she was. But what I'm saying is, I just think I find it funny for somebody just to walk up and just beat somebody with a bat.
It happens in New York in the subway all the time.
I
The,
mean, yeah, I know. I mean, I'm saying
just
that.
walk up
I
to
mean, I'm not
people
saying, yeah. I'm saying that do happen, but I'm just saying I don't know. I don't know. But rest
I'll
in
stay
peace to the
for
lady.
that. I'll
Yeah,
stay
rest in peace to her.
for that. But I'm gonna go ahead and roll into the last story. And unfortunately, this mom, her life was taken in a McDonald's, and she has 2 young kids. This, I think, is more domestic violence, but they still didn't give us too much detail. But let's roll into this story.
Both the victim and the suspect in a deadly shooting outside the McDonald's in Brandon last night. 12 News' Jacoby A. Smith is live at the Brandon Police Department with new details. Jacoby, what can you tell us?
Yes, Byron and Mill. Police say they found the body of 25-year-old Kiana Jackson in the parking lot on Stribling Road around 7 p.m. The suspect has been identified as 27-year-old Jantarius Dampier. Investigators say he suffered a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Dampier was taken to a local hospital where his condition is being monitored. Formal charges against Dampier are still pending. Jackson's remains have been sent to the state medical examiner for an autopsy. Mayor Bush Lee has released this statement, quote, "This was a horrible incident, even more tragic when a domestic situation like this happens in front of children. Our prayers go out to everyone connected to those involved," end quote. Police have not revealed how Dampier and Jackson knew each other. They say this was an isolated incident in Brandon. Jacoby A. Smith, 12 News.
A GoFundMe has been set up to cover the funeral costs of the woman who was killed during a shooting at the McDonald's in Brandon. According to the organizer, the funds raised will also support the children of Kiana Jackson. That shooting happened at the McDonald's on Stribling Lane just before 7 o'clock Monday night. Brandon Police Chief Joseph French says that Jantarius Dampier shot Jackson before shooting himself. The police chief says Dampier later died of his injuries on June 18th. The link to the GoFundMe page is on our website, WJTV.com.
So it's sad. They have a GoFundMe for her. It's sad because we're never going to know because he inflicted himself and he's gone. Fancy, I saw. Thank you for sharing your story. It's a lot of unchecked, so to speak, mental health things going on in this world today. And sometimes it's hard. I don't know what happened with the woman with the bat, but I'm just saying in general, sometimes it is hard for people to get the help that they need. So woman 25, described as a cherished mother of two, pow dead inside a Mississippi McDonald's. You know, so rest in peace to this young mom, but also to the fact of all of these people that was working in McDonald's that are probably traumatized after seeing this happen. Kiana Jackson left behind a 5-year-old daughter and a 3-year-old son. Absolutely beautiful. A mother, too, is dead following a powwowing that took place inside a Mississippi McDonald's on June 16. Kiana Jackson, 25, leaves behind a 5-year-old daughter and a 3-year-old son after she was unalive. The alleged person that did it to her, Jantarius Dampier, 27, died from his injuries days later on June 18. The mother, too, is dead following the powwowing that took place inside the McDonald's. Kiana Jackson, 25, of Pearl, Mississippi, was powwowed and unalived in an apparent domestic incident in Brandon, located about 10 miles outside of Jackson on Monday, June 16. The 27-year-old allegedly opened fire inside the fast food restaurant located on the city's Stribling Lane just before 7 p.m. local time, the outlets reported. Brandon Police Chief Joseph French told the news that officers arrived on the scene to find that Jackson had been unalived by a apparent pow wound and that Dampier of Mendenhall, Mississippi, has sustained a self-inflicted wound. Immediately after the powwowing, he was transported to a local hospital, but he later died from his injuries days later on Wednesday, June 18, per the outlet. Jackson and Dampier are believed to have shared 2 children together, according to the Daily Mail. Speaking with the news after the powwowing, Brandon Mayor Butch Lee said, "This was a horrible incident. It's even more tragic when a domestic situation like this happens in front of the children. Our prayers goes out to everyone connected to those involved," the politician said. Jackson families has since started a GoFundMe to raise money for funeral expenses and to support her children after the shooting. The fundraising page described the 25-year-old as a cherished mother that leaving behind 2 beautiful children, a daughter 5 and a son 3 years of age. She also was a beloved daughter, sister, and friend. Continues the description on the GoFundMe, which has raised over $15,000 towards the $22,000 goal of the or as of the evening of Sunday, June 22nd. The Brandon Police Department did not immediately respond to the people's request for further information on June 22nd. O'Farrell Management Group, the owner and operator of the McDonald's location where the powwowing took place, told the news We are deeply saddened by the tragic incident, and our thoughts and prayers are with the victims and their families. We're providing support to our restaurant employees and will continue to assist law enforcement with their ongoing investigation. The statement concluded. You know, the sad part is that is no justice going to be
injured
done.
following a shooting at a McDonald's in Brandon. We have just learned the victim was identified as 25-year-old Kiana Jackson. The shooting happened just after 6 o'clock last night near the McDonald's on the Stribling Lane, just south of the interstate exit of Crossgates Boulevard. Brandon's police chief says officers arrived at the scene where Jackson had been shot and killed. A second person, identified as the suspect, was also found with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The suspect was taken to a local hospital for treatment. The chief says the incident appears to be isolated and there's no ongoing threat to the public.
It's just so sad. Wayne, your thoughts?
Yeah, it's unfortunate that this is going to be the last memory they have of their parents. The last memory, you know. It's sad. I don't understand with, you know, young people, you know, young. I mean, use this kind of stuff with people old have been in relationships a long time, you know. I mean, we gotta do something about our young folks. Help them out. That's it.
Yeah. Julius, your thoughts?
Again, my condolences go out to this young lady's family. And it's just heartbreaking. And so my heart and condolences go out to her family. If the young man did do it, like I said about the other one from the previous story, he deserves to be apprehended, and you can be read your Miranda rights as you sit in a hospital room. And he deserves to be charged accordingly.
Savannah, your thoughts? He's dead, Julius.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah. I'm gonna agree with Wayne on this story. It's tragic because these two young children, you know, a place that toddlers and babies that they bug their parents to go to, and you know, as we all have our children and grandchildren, they all want to go to McDonald's and get their Happy Meals and little toys and whatnot. And now these two children are going to be triggered for the rest of their life. Well, this is where they lost their mama, is um in the McDonald's restaurant. I think I agree with Wayne that we definitely need to have conversations with not only our girls, and because it's just sad. Everything we're hearing now is young ladies who are willing to do anything for a bag, or not willing to work hard, or okay with DV, and not seeing their worth. And I watch a lot of trials on Law and Crime Network, and I see a lot of cases where young ladies are unalived by a domestic partner, and then children are left behind without a mother or a father, and then some of them are the families that are left behind, that are left to take care of these children, are also broken and dysfunctional. So I think that we have to have different conversations with our young men and women nowadays. I don't know why our young boys are so angry, our young men. And I know the societal pressures and how difficult it is being a minority in a system that is not meant for you to really win, and how extra hard you have to work. to find those opportunities, to be able to create a path where you can have a little success and change your environment. And I think we had to have different conversations with our men and women, because here's a beautiful young lady just starting her life, and I'm pretty sure this wasn't their first incident of domestic violence. It's just tragic that it ended in such a manner that so many people are now traumatized. Not just the you have a community, you have all the employees that were on duty that night, and then you have two babies who have now just 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 broken. So my heart goes to them, but I think that we definitely need to have different conversations with our young men and women.
Thank you, Savannah. And Katrina, your thoughts?
Diva, didn't we just have somebody to unalive themselves and their girlfriend about 2 or 3 weeks ago? They was on Instagram Live. They was on Facebook Live going back and forth with each other. And
Yeah.
she was telling her family members that she didn't think that she was going to be around long. And he took her out and took himself out. My thing is, if you want to take yourself out, oh, well, that's what you do. But some of them feel like if I can't have you, ain't nobody going to have you. So I will take you out and then I take myself out, because they know what the consequences is once they get caught. So that's what I call cowards. And that is so selfish, because anybody that do it, committing S, or, unaliving somebody else, that is a selfish act, because the family is left here to grieve your bodies because you're gone. They got to grieve the daughter body, and they got to grieve yours because you were selfish and took yourself out. So when people commit the S, they are so selfish, because the people that's still on earth have to deal with that loss. And rest in peace to the young lady family, and may God have mercy on his soul, to the young man, because he's gonna need it, unless he said some things before he did that to himself. But anyway, um, these people got to realize, when you fussing and stuff going back, these people, they don't fight no more. It all pow pow, or stabbing or something. It just getting ridiculous, and it's getting sad. This world is getting sadder and sadder. I don't never hear anything that's good on the news anymore, which is on the news, or anything that's gonna be uplifting. These people need to refocus. These people need to get in church. They need to do something, because this is madness. This is totally madness. And this Facebook and all the Instagram stuff, they go back and forth with each other. They be twerking and stuff. One twerking and fell off a boat. It's just crazy. And it's nuts. These people better change this stuff around, because this not gonna make it. They're not gonna make it. You're not gonna have any young kids to bring up any other kids, because they're gonna be gone. These are, I mean, they young, 25, 26. Okay, let's think about it. If they wipe each other out, what would you have left? The older people, or the younger kids that's coming up without parents, that's got to deal with this stuff. They got to deal with seeing their parents being taken away the way they did. These kids are orphans now. So the family members got to take them in. It's sad, but rest in peace to both of them. That's all I got.
Yeah. Thank you. It's a shame. It's sad with these particular stories. It's a rise. I just couldn't do it today, but there was a whole bunch of teacher stories where these freaking teachers are messing with the kids. It's like, schools from kindergarten to 12th grade and even college supposed to be some of the best years of your lives, and we got teachers out there destroying it because they want to sleep with the kids. I just don't understand it, but I just couldn't do one of those tonight. Not that these were any better, but I just couldn't even do one of those tonight. Listen, guys, I appreciate y'all for coming through and hanging out with me for Trending Topics. Y'all know the routine. If you didn't hit that like button on the way in, do me a favor, hit it on the way out. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe. Diva's trying to get to 50K. I got 7 days, but you never know what can happen. Thank y'all. I appreciate y'all. Good night and goodbye, everybody. Choo choo.